All right, hello everyone. It's now Monday, March 8th, and we are resuming our reading through 1st and 2nd Samuel, 2 chapters a day, picking up now in chapter number 21 and 22 of 1st Samuel today. Just a brief recap where we left off last week. The lines were drawn between David and Saul. They seemed quite incompatible at this point. Saul wanted David killed, and here was Jonathan in between, the son of Saul, but yet a virtuous one who had more loyalty to his friend than to his father. Um, Culturally, that may have been problematic, but we see that as a good thing because Jonathan was on the side of who was right. He was on the side of the virtuous one. And so now we go into chapter number 21, and there's a strange thing that's happening. David has got a group, a certain posse with him at this point, and they are running out of food. They are hungry. They need help. They go to Nob, and there is Ahimelech, the priest, and Ahimelech is afraid very early on. It's interesting that it remarks it's somewhat obscure here early on that Ahimelech is afraid, and David instructs the priest that he's on some sort of secret mission from Saul. Well, that's not really all that true. He is misleading the priest. What seems at that point perhaps to be doing the priest a favor, to be implying that the priest would be doing something good to help David rather than instructing the priest that he's a renegade from Saul. And so David's going to want bread for he and his men. However, they don't have any excess bread except for the holy bread that was used in the inner courts of it was the tabernacle at this point. Well, David is willing to eat that holy bread. The priest is already intimidated and is going to be willing to give David that holy bread, and so he and his men are going to eat this sanctified bread, and they're going to do so under certain false pretenses because they're claiming that they are on a mission from Saul, and so this is royal business. Now, remember, one of the problems when Saul went bad, the first issue with Saul was that he did not conform to ritual norms, to the standards. He sacrificed without waiting for Samuel. He broke protocol. Well, there's a breaking of protocol here by David, but that's not going to seem to be a problem. In fact, when we get to the Gospels, we went over this now nearly 2 years ago for most of my listeners in Luke's Gospel, where Jesus uses this as an example. Protocols were broken because men are hungry here, and what good is the bread in the tabernacle when the people are hungry? Well, Jesus used that as to articulate how Sabbath protocols could be broken when people were in need. And so, when Saul went wrong, it was because he broke protocol, but it's okay for David. Maybe there seems to be a double standard. However, Saul is not the one who is destined to be successful. David is. David is the man who's after God's own heart. So David is going to leave there. Nob, he's going to go to Gath, to the area of his enemies, to people who are already, where he was probably a wanted man, so to speak. He's going to carry Goliath's sword there for protection. And he's going to get there, and People are going to ask, even the king there of Gath, is this not the David that they sing about, that he's killed his tens of thousands? Well, now David is the one who is who's intimidated. He had gone to Ahimelech the priest, and the priest was worried for his welfare. Now David is worried about his own welfare. Now that he's gone to Gath, he's going to pretend to be insane in order to get these to leave him alone. So then in chapter 22, he goes to the caves of Adullam, and men are hearing about David's presence in these caves. There's probably some outlaws, some people who are having their financial trouble. When you couldn't pay your debts in that culture, you would lose your land, and you would essentially become homeless and without community. And it seems as though David is collecting some of these outcast types. Well, he's going to take these men, and then he's going to hear from the prophet to go to Judah. Well, then, as chapter 22 closes, we're back at the community of Nob, and Saul is going to arrive there, hearing that Ahimelech the priest had assisted David. Interesting. The priest was concerned when he saw David, and David was harmless, but now his fears are going to be confirmed, as it were, now that he meets Saul. And Saul continues to be paranoid. Curiously, here in chapter 21, David was pretending to be insane. But that's because we know Saul is the one who is seriously insane here. He believes that the priests have conspired against him, that they don't feel sorry for him, and that, hey, the priests realize David's a good guy. He's a good warrior. He's loyal. Saul's not going to have it. He's going to order for the priests there at Nob to be murdered. It's going to result in 85 men being killed, and then the women and the children, the infants even, it says, the oxen, donkeys, and sheep. And so Saul's depravity is further revealed. And so it's as if we were to think of this as though we're watching a movie that's unfolding, there's a real separation that's happening with this character. If it were a movie, a screenplay, we might have taken up for Saul at this point. Think about it. He was humble. He got put in a position where he first went wrong was when he was trying to do something good. Then his second big mistake was when he was trying to do something good. And then this paranoia has set in, and he's become self-destructive, and certainly trying to destroy others, destroy David, but yet he hasn't really done anything tremendously wrong up until now, when it's clear who the good guys most certainly are and who the bad guys are. And at this point, there's no apology for Saul, in the sense there's no apologetic, there's no defense of Saul. He's done for, and something's going to happen, because you can't get away with doing what he has done. Okay, so with that, I will revisit you tomorrow.